All right. I'm back, triumphantly returned from the bathroom, and I'm ready to go live when you are. All right. I've had my starting soon up the whole time, so I can go live now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. I'm Kel McDonald. I make comics you can read at kelmcdonald.com.
And I'm Elena Pete, and I make comics that you can read at elenapete.com or at weregeek.com.
And we have a Joe that just joined us. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Oh, sorry, I'm late. What happened?
It's okay. We all got a late start.
I was late. My supper took forever, so I was just done now. So.
Oh, fantastic! Because I took forever because I was prepping my dinner. Well, I wasn't prepping, putting it in bowls.
Nice. What you have?
Yeah.
Something tasty?
Yeah, it is tasty. It's tofu with something. Kristen made it. It's freaking delicious.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah, it's got a lot of spices.
Nice.
Have you been, Alina? It's been a minute.
It's been a bit. Yeah, I've been good. I've been what have I been up to? I finished the VR program I was a part of, so I'm done my VR internship.
Right.
Did a VR play, that was cool. And now I am working on a secret writing project I can't talk much about, but it's very cool, and I can't wait till I can talk about it.
Yeah, no, congratulations. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. Speaking of writing, I also got invited by a writer friend of mine to come and host the book launch. So I'm gonna do an interview, and that's gonna be really fun. It's for a book series I'm a big fan of, so I'm like, hey, let's chat.
Cool.
Did you say a book launch?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's gonna be launching his book in June down in Bellingham. So I was like, I can jump over the border and do that. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, when in June?
Take the border while you're at it.
18th.
Well, if you want to have a longer over the border trip, Books with Pictures does a little tiny con, like a one-day show,
really?
that is around the same time. And I do have I will have a couch that you can crash on by the time this happens in June. So,
Cal?
Yeah.
Is your new apartment bigger or smaller?
It's bigger.
Cool.
I'm moving from a studio to a one-bedroom in the same apartment building.
Whoa! You're getting a room.
Upgrade.
Yes. But yeah, I'm looking up when Books with Pictures is event is, so if you want to consider it. Books with Pictures one-day show is June 15th.
Okay. That's not a terrible idea. We've been talking about trying to come down to Portland again and just visit a bunch of folks. Yourself included. But
and so if you have the book thing on, you said the 18th in Bellingham. Yeah. And Books with Pictures is cool people.
It is, yeah. Oh no, Kel, I made you extra Legoshi tonight.
Good.
This is just a full Legoshi now.
That's good plan.
I've got guys. I don't know what I'm up to in this picture, but I'm up to something.
But yeah, it's obviously, since it's a one-day show, it's not like huge.
Yeah.
Those are the best though. One-day shows are amazing.
Oh God, they're so. What?
I love one day.
Why do cons have to be 5 days?
I don't know.
Nothing happens in those 5 days. It's too much.
It's dumb and I hate it, and I know exactly how it happened.
Yeah, I don't like
No,
it.
the problem is capitalism.
The problem is like everything, capitalism.
Yeah. El problema is capitalism.
I'm I'm not in favor. I don't know. It seems like maybe a
I'm
bad idea to
against
me.
it.
Yeah.
Like 2 day shows are fine. 3 days, that's a lot. Anything
Yeah.
else after that is just
The only exception to that rule is Gen Con, which I am delighted every single day that it runs. It's a very fun show. You can actually play games, and the dealer's room isn't open all day. It closes at a reasonable time, so you can go and do stuff.
what? How many days is it?
It is 4 days, the best
Oh
four
wow.
days in
Okay.
gaming,
Okay.
but it's legitimately
Uh,
fun.
so there you go, Alina. I linked you to the little application. They have a picture of Corey up as
Good.
examples of nice people that exhibit there.
Is Corey wearing one of her really cool dresses?
Yes,
Because
and
Corey's
Corey has a
fashion
fun
game
sun
is
hat on in
very
said
strong.
picture.
For a second, that picture really tripped me out, Cal, because it says BWP Con. And for a second, just like before I had to think about it, it's like Burbank Water and Power. Am I in the right chat? It was like, no, that's Books with Pictures.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm working on pin designs for Gen Con. So anyone on the stream gets a preview.
I'm toning some City Between pages.
Cool.
And earlier today, while pondering City Between stuff, I figured out the end of a City Between comic that I had like the beginning of and like what I wanted to focus on, but I didn't know how to end it. So that's good, but now I need to figure out the middle. But it's taken steps in a good direction.
Nice. That's always a good feeling.
Yeah.
You're like, I know where I'm going with this one.
Yeah. Basically, the story is there's the teen werewolf that hangs out with Connor Jorge, and Jorge's whole deal is whenever people write like an angsty sad werewolf, it's always the werewolf is sad because they're a werewolf.
Yes.
Whereas Jorge picked up shitty attitudes from his stepdad that was abusive, and after becoming a werewolf realized those attitudes were shitty. So his angst about him being dangerous is maybe the humans the bad part.
Gotcha.
But also he accidentally killed his abusive stepdad. So he's got some complicated feelings about that because it obviously feels bad about killing someone, but also his stepdad was a shitty person. And he's been in foster care ever since, and he does not tell foster care people that he's a werewolf.
Gotcha.
So I was like gonna use the story to explore like complicated feelings, maybe talk about toxic masculinity. But I didn't know how to like resolve any of that because how do you resolve toxic masculinity?
Yeah.
I think I figured it out. And that he realizes that he actually has better role models now.
I was about to say, how do you solve that with a good community?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
Healthy
I don't want to say the end on air but I will type it.
Is it something similar to a werewolf, not swearwolves?
No,
No.
I just put it in the chat.
Yeah, man. I have to read that.
You gotta read.
No.
Aww.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
There's a little bit more to it.
Well, I would guess so.
Well, to make it even sweeter.
Let's go with light detection. That looks better. Yeah, that looks good.
There.
Oh, that's good.
Connor can be not a jerk sometimes.
Nice.
That's right. When we are many, things get done better.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because werewolves are the proletariat.
It's true. Those awful 1% are vampires.
Yeah, that's what I'm toning right now.
Good.
Mina is looking over at people's necks and wrists from high up while thinking about eating them. Oh, Alina, my friend Molly has been streaming Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, good.
And
It's
she
very
just got
fun.
the Asterion biting her scene.
Oh, hell yes.
She went into it mostly blind, and it's just she got the Asterion biting scene, and when he does the reveal that he's about to bite her, she goes, "Rude!"
Yeah. I love that there's
Rude,
an option
sir.
to just be like, listen, I'm fine if you're a vampire. I'm not racist against vampires, but like consent, man. Like ask.
Consent.
Ask before you're gonna bite my neck. I'm happy to help you out.
Like with everything, moderation. You know, like
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Consent.
I'm sure we can
Consent,
work
sir.
something out. But moderation.
The fun part is once he bites you, he gets a +1 to everything the next day, and you get a -1.
Yes, he has a happy moodlet.
He's all happy. He's like, great. I had some good blood. I feel good.
What?
Yeah, I do like that. Let's keep the arms in there. This will be... So I'm trying to do all of the D&D dragons, but like my designs on the D&D dragons for the set of pins that I'm doing. And this one is the Sapphire Dragon, which is one of the like psionic dragons in D&D. But I have instead made it like celestial, so I'm doing a Star Dragon design, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
When I played D&D, I was a blue dragonborn bard.
So you could breathe lightning.
And my mission was to make an electric guitar.
Oh, good.
Ooh.
Very good.
And I think I'm going to make that character in Baldur's Gate.
Excellent. There's some really nice options for the Dragonborn. You can get some really pretty scale patterns and interesting looking faces.
Oh, I also watched a montage of the end that's if you become a squid person, you can try to eat everyone's brains during the epilogue. And it's you get like the narrator is like, you're wondering if so and so's brain would taste like this because of this thing that they're good at. Like,
there is an Asterian cutscene where you can, or not cutscene, but just conversation in camp, where you like can talk about what everyone's blood would taste like.
Yeah, I've
what
seen
he
that
thinks
one.
Everyone's blood would taste like.
If you play as Astarion, you get the biting scene from his point of view, and there is a clip montage that's everyone's reaction to getting bit.
Amazing.
Gale tastes bad.
Oh yeah, he would, I guess.
Because he's full of magic juice.
Yeah, he's full of really bad magic juice.
Yeah. And then you can't eat Karlach because she's made of fire.
She's too spicy.
So if you try to sneak up on her and bite her, you don't actually get to bite her. It's like, okay, this is a bad idea. Walk away.
Right.
But you can eat everyone else. I told Molly that she has yet to get the best companion in the game, which is Scratch.
Oh yeah.
Joe, Scratch is a dog.
Okay.
He's very good,
so
and he always says, "So happy to see you, friend." If you can talk to animals. I hope you're keeping.
Yeah, there's friend. A spell that's. I love. So Joe, there's a spell in the game that is talk to animals, and you get so many fun dialogue things if you just have it turned on all the time.
Yes. My favorite is the germaphobe mom eagle, who's like, "Ew, humans! You bring so many germs. Don't touch my son." And then the model of the baby eagle is just the same as the mom eagle. And if you're a bird person, you know that eagles don't molt in their white head, or at least bald eagles, which the sprites for this are based off of. Bald eagles don't molt in their white head until they're like 5 years old. So like this is the equivalent of like a 20-year-old kid living in his mom's basement. Like he's
and
still
she's
fully
like, don't touch my son.
My precious
but I like the cat that is like, I am a mighty hunter.
Yes.
I'm killing all of the tadpoles.
Yeah. There's also a dog that's a nervous wreck because his owners have coddled him too much, and now he's in the middle of a war and he doesn't know what to do, and he's like, "Oh God, please pet me, please tell me I'm pretty."
Tell me I'm pretty. And I like the squirrel that thinks he's tough, and I also like the bird that's designing his nest. And you can basically, Joe, you come up to this bird and he's like putting baubles in the nest. And he asks you like if it looks good, like if the design's even, so you like help him with his interior design of his nest.
It's very important to him.
Yeah.
That's how he's gonna get a girl.
Gotta get a lady.
And then there's a very horny pig.
Oh, I haven't met the horny pig. If I missed the bunny thing.
Oh, at the beginning, before you rescue Hellison, he's like, "Where is Hellison? He promised me a mate."
Good.
That's really funny.
Yeah, he's
It's
like,
always
"Where
worth
is
casting that spell?
a lady pig?"
It's always worth casting Talk with Animals. Talk with Dead, you
Yeah.
often get nothing. Like, they're just like, oh, this corpse doesn't want to talk to you, whatever. And you're like, oh, that's fair, it's dead.
Or they tell you stuff that you already know.
Yeah. But it's always worth talking with the animals.
Yeah, I basically told Molly, like, it doesn't matter what you're doing, always cast Speak with Animals after you're done resting.
Absolutely.
You need to have that spell on at all times. Molly has found the odd cow.
Oh, good.
The cow that's not really a cow.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a bull or?
No.
It's a shapeshifter that's disguised as a cow.
Yeah, I was not prepared for how not a cow it was. I was like, oh, okay, wow. Oof.
I
might almost be done with this design. I'm really liking the look of that. Just like zooming out to how big it'll be. Some of the smaller stars won't work, maybe? I can adjust them. Oh, hey, I should probably open my chat, huh?
Nah.
I was gonna see if
I got someone
talking.
who is posting a bunch of trans flags in my chat, and good on that person.
Amazing.
They're not saying anything; they're just posting a bunch of the trans flag icons.
Look,
so.
Good.
You don't
Good
need
for
words.
them.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
need words to make friends.
Yeah.
Hey everybody,
Like
I'm in the chat now. I'm sorry if you said something before. I did not see it because I forgot to open the chat.
How dare you, Alina?
How dare I? It's like I've never streamed before. The funnest thing about our VR thing that we did was, so I got randomly assigned to be the stage manager, which meant that like I was in charge of the world, like triggering sound effects and the couple of gates that we put up so that people couldn't go past a certain point, go run around the world before we were ready. But stage managing in VR means that you can just fully go invisible. And that is the best way to stage manage. Also, you can have all your actors in a Discord and then just talk to them in their ear, even if when they're out on stage performing.
Oh, that's really cool.
Recommend it. It's real good.
Fun. Cool.
Anytime I stage manage now in person, I'm going to be like, God damn it, why am I not invisible?
The other day I fixed all the typos in Murky Water.
Ooh.
And
while I love hand lettering and think it looks great,
oh yeah, I remember.
It is a pain in the butt to fix typos.
It does look very good though.
Especially if you forget a word.
Oh yeah.
Oof.
No good.
Because then you have to adjust everything.
Yeah.
Or, just have your character speak a broken language. Who are we to judge? Sometimes people communicate differently.
I think I do like the purple.
Alina, have you seen the how to tell if an artist is a furry or not?
No, but I do need to see that immediately.
I sent it to Joe.
This
And
is
it
great.
the fun part about this post, Alina, it's a big long Tumblr post, and the fun thing is every time it pops up on my Tumblr again, it's longer. So like
amazing.
I love that like people keep adding to this, like they don't even know that they're doing this. Like and the first part is the best part because it's I remember in middle school when an art friend asked if I knew what a furry was, and I was like, Shh, I don't. And then she asked me to draw a dog, and what I delivered looks like this, and this was the response from her. And it's like a super anime dog. And then the face that is drawn on the friend is fucking priceless. Like, I want that to be an emoji.
I love there's just a sheet of hand poses, and someone is like, "You're furry," and they're like, "How could you tell?" They're like, "You drew paws. Those are just paws."
Those are paws.
You've drawn a paw.
And then they're like, "Fine, I practice hands." And then they're like, "You couldn't help but give it claws, could you?"
No, there's a claw in there. How can you look at a drawing and instantly know if the artist is a monster fucker? Hashtag.
They don't even know what they're doing. They don't even know they're doing it.
Somebody says I have a morbid curiosity about oh crap. A thing just came up.
Yeah.
I don't want to sign into Tumblr. I just want to see the Tumblr post.
If you want to see the pose, you gotta sign in.
No, I don't want to sign in. Fine.
Kind of like with Pinterest nowadays, where it's like, if you want to see our pictures, you have to join our club. To which I say,
Uh-huh.
Like,
I have
I'm
more
like-
curiosity about what furries think of this post, and somebody said, "Furry here. Plenty of my friends are also furries. This post is super funny."
And they're like, "I know you're a furry. I've seen how you draw hands."
And that is not the mystery I was trying to solve.
When I was
I
at
need
the
the opinion
show,
of furries that aren't you.
when I was at the furry show, a guy came up and he just said, "Your style is very old school furry," and then he walked away, and I was like, "Sir, what does that mean, sir?"
It means Balto.
It means that you saw Balto as a kid, and
you saw Balto and the Lion King.
It's because I'm an animator. I have Disney style. It comes
pre-installed.
That kind of tends to be the big tell. Like, if your animals or if your style is kind of like
if it's
that
kind of
Disney.
Balto, that okay.
Yeah, that Balto talking, Disney's animated talking animal.
That tracks.
I love that one of the frequently asked questions on wolfmovie.com was, "This looks like Balto," and their response was, "That's not a question, that's more of a comment, but okay." I haven't checked on wolfmovie.com in a while. I wonder if they've made more.
Gloriously animated wolves.
Which one?
Wolfmovie.com. This is the one where it's very clearly someone's passion project about how great wolves are, but they do not care about anything else. Like everything else is animated so janky because they're not wolves, so who cares?
Caribou, whatever. Give them like a 3-frame run cycle. Nobody cares. It's not a wolf.
I got some views for you, buddy. You might be in the minority there. No disrespects. Appreciate the craft, but.
Also, the big hotness at the furry show this year is Has Been Hotel. All about them has-beens.
That is 100% unsurprising because that's like Tumblr sexy man catnip.
Absolutely. I got to draw a wolf Lucifer. That was fun.
That's cool.
Oh, also apparently Hazbin Hotel started as a webcomic where they were zoo animals that were also demons.
Mixie Pop is gigantic furry. Like, there's no.
Yeah.
There's,
So
that's just,
that it makes sense that she would have a lot of fans at the furry show.
Yeah.
I
didn't see anyone. Oh no, I did. I saw one Angel Dust. Sorry, I was gonna say I didn't see anyone cosplaying Hazbin, but I did.
You saw the one person. That one person.
Yeah, I didn't see the one I was expecting, which was Luna, which is the furry.
Well, she's not technically Hazbin Hotel. She's the other one.
The Hello Boss.
Yeah. Did you see any Lackadaisies?
I did not. I would have taken a picture if I saw Lackadaisy.
Gotta get more Lackadaisy cosplayers. Gotta get those cats out there.
Man, that's a good cosplay.
Yeah.
Where else could you cosplay like a cool Zoot Suit cat?
What I thought was very funny is someone apparently sent the Lackadaisy pilot to a guy that judges how violins are played in media.
Oh.
Like if an actor or an animator is like the animated character is playing the violin correctly.
Nice.
Rocky is they were like, well, obviously since they have less fingers, there has to be some allowances for not being completely accurate. But he is playing it more or less correctly. Though the guy commented that, like, you know, with those cat claws, violin strings are very delicate, so he must break those strings a lot. I just thought that was like a funny comment. It's like it's accuracy, great. He must go through a lot of strings.
Good.
But clearly, the real purpose of that is that, like, if that violin is made by cats, then surely it was made to fit the movement and the sensitivity of the cat. So maybe it's not that he goes through a lot of strings, but it's just more that the types of strings that are used are actually more
durable because they're cat person strings.
Because a human didn't make the violin for a cat to play. This is a world where everyone is an cat. Yeah. Every instrument must be made to the sensibility of cats and humans. That would be my response to that. It's like it just happens to be like a miracle that a violin made for cat, live cat, happens to sound just as well as a violin made for human. Either that, or you have to think of it as if, like, well, maybe it just sounds different to cats, but because this is a cartoon of a different world, it's being translated. So really, we don't know what that sound.
Yeah.
We just know what it would sound like for us if it were a human violin.
Before we started streaming, I was talking to Corey Bang and some of our other friends about the animated movie Brave Little Toaster.
Oh my god.
Because there's apparently a Tumblr poll going around that was, which part of Brave Little Toaster traumatized you as a child? And the options, several people in the comments were like, you forgot about this traumatizing part, or you forgot about this traumatizing part. And so which parts have you both seen Brave Little Toaster, right?
Yeah.
I have, but it's been a million years. I think the traumatizing parts are still seared into my memory.
I would say that it seems like the obvious, it seems like the quick answer is the jump guard.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But honestly, for me, the computer part, it was just so weird, and it's
Mm.
just so alien that it kind of threw me out of the movie. And not it wasn't traumatizing, but it definitely was just like this seems off, and it seems like a rather big tone shift from the rest of the movie. And here's the thing: by this point, I had already seen both Heffalumps and Woozles from Winnie the Pooh and Pink Elephants on Parade,
Oh
which
yeah.
I adore. Like I've never thought of them
So
as scary. I adore them. But however, the computers in the Brave Little Toys are like, yeah, this seems a little off. What's going on?
Yeah.
okay, so the options are firefighter clown nightmare.
Okay,
Yep. Yep.
sure.
When the air conditioner has a nervous breakdown so bad he dies.
That was pretty bad.
When the lamp lets himself get struck by lightning to recharge radio's batteries.
Yeah.
When the vacuum has a panic attack upon seeing a waterfall and nearly chokes on his cord. When the radio is tortured in the junk shop.
That was
Uh,
disturbing.
the entire car crushing sequence.
Right.
When the human is trapped in the conveyor belt and is headed for the crusher.
Meh, that was fine.
When the toaster mangles himself to save the human. And then one option is, I have not seen this movie. What the absolute fuck? Are you guys okay? And then one person is like, you forgot about when they're all sinking in the mud, and then the last thing you see is the radio's antenna sticking out of the mud.
Oh yeah.
And then someone else says, when the flower falls in love with its reflection in the toaster, and when the toaster leaves, it withers and dies.
Man, I need to revisit this movie. They're making it sound way cooler than I.
Yeah.
It's
pretty
full
good,
of some
actually.
weird ass shit.
Yeah, there's I mean, I remember some weird stuff. I just don't remember all that.
I remember the car crushing sequence mostly because it's a song.
Right.
Yeah.
And songs always stick in my head more.
Right. Yeah, music does that.
Yeah. So it's like I don't know if I would call it traumatizing. It's more just that's what I remember the best.
Speaking of movies that are or are not traumatizing,
I
Lane and
love
I
the time.
watched Twice Upon a Time the other day.
Mhm.
Which I don't know if you have ever heard of this movie. It's a really, really obscure animated thing because it was done with it basically with paper cut. It was paper cutouts put on a light table and then more paper cutouts put on to animate it. Like,
Okay.
so think
It's
somewhere in between cell animation and stop motion.
kind of like the Adventures of Prince Ahmed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this sounds kind of familiar, but I don't think I've seen.
You may have seen clips of it because there's this one sequence that is just like nightmare fuel, and I love it. Where
Okay.
it's the two characters who are these weird little paper cut people. One is a dog voiced by Lorenzo Music, who also voiced
Nice.
Garfield, which is fun.
Yeah.
And then one is a little man who doesn't speak. Only the dog talks. Anyway, the two of them come out into the real world where time has been stopped and the King of Nightmares has put like nightmare bombs on all of the humans so that when time starts back up again, they'll all be stuck in an eternal nightmare.
Cool.
And so they accidentally set off one of the bombs, and then they are stuck in a nightmare, and all of the office supplies come to life and attack them. It is. I cannot do justice just how uncanny valley creepy and wonderful it is.
Yeah, that sounds very unique. Why is this movie obscure?
Because so it was produced by George Lucas, and it
Okay.
was
Oh, okay.
um basically the film that was going to launch this like new technique called Lumage, which was basically this guy had come up with a really good technique for doing this sort of stop motion paper cut stuff. And this was going to be like its masterpiece. It's a portfolio piece for the world because you could animate it for a fraction of the price as doing traditional cell animation. Because a lot of the parts could be reused and that kind of stuff. So this
Sure,
is gonna
sure.
like
Mhm.
launch a new technology. Except at the time, the production company that was doing them was going out of business, so they weren't able to get theaters for it to be played in. So it had a really limited release, and I think it cost
Uh,
like $3 million to make it, and they made back like a couple thousand because it only
right.
opened in a handful of theaters. So it was like the worst animated flop of all times and has been buried and like erased from public memory. Which is a real shame because it was a really, really, really cool technique. And especially these
Yeah.
days where you could like laser cut a bunch of the parts, you could really do a cool Lumage animation.
I mean,
But
I'm
if you ever
guessing
get a
that
That's a
this.
chance,
shame.
I was
if
gonna
you
say
ever,
like, I mean, yeah, this sounds amazing, but I'm also like, I'm guessing that this would have been way before After Effects.
oh
So
wait, way, way, way before.
yeah, yeah. So what was this
This was like
like late '70s, early mid
83 or
'80s?
something. Yeah.
Um,
Distribution. That's the killer.
Yippers. Also, you can't make
don't
money on a film if
remember.
you only show it at like 3 theaters.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing that this is before home video then.
I'm not sure. I think home video is the only reason it survived.
Yeah. I mean, like that makes sense. It's just like, but I mean, like when home video first arrived, even in like the late '70s or even in like the early '80s, the home video distribution policy was not what it was by the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, like yeah, like the royal distribution, yeah, you know, like how wide of a yeah, like that was like that really came the way that we kind of think about it now.
Yeah.
In the late 80s. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, like even if they would have had a video release, it still would have been like, well, it's on video, but like, what store do you put this? Nobody has ever
Yeah,
heard of it.
exactly.
Buy it. You're gonna need like an entire marketing to do that, and no one, especially the company was already. That's
I had to look up the evil clown in Brave Little Toaster because I did not remember it at all.
I remember that one. That's pretty all right. It's a good.
I feel like I don't remember most of the movie Brave Little Toaster. Um,
who was, who was one of the animators on that? There was somebody who was like a fairly big name.
John Lasseter.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Where he stepped out to
Yeah,
be
that's yeah,
director and serial sexual abuser.
right.
mhm.
Like that's kind of like unfortunately every time I think about the Brave Little Toaster, I was like, oh, that was just one of John Lasseter's first big breaks.
Right, right.
That's where I just think like people like all the anyway, but anywho. I saw a movie called Lady Macbeth the other day,
Oh,
and I did not know what I was walking myself into. And I gotta admit, man, what a movie lives up to its title.
hmm.
Yeah, it's actually yeah, well, Alina, you're in Canada, so I don't know. Hell, did you like does Canopy exist in Oregon?
Wait, what? Can you repeat that?
Does Canopy exist in Oregon? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, Canopy is a streaming service provided by the public library. I
Okay.
don't know,
It
but
might exist, but I just don't know because I haven't really looked into what the library offers other than the Libby app.
yeah, okay, yeah. Anyways, yeah, like I know that California offers it. I had access to it whether with Los Angeles Public Library or with Burbank Public Library. Anyways, yeah, it's a it's a streaming service. They have very cool movies. The only catch is that because it's free and they don't have commercials, the only catch is that you only have access to 15 year. I'm sorry, not a year, a month.
Hmm.
And their rotation is a little more. They do kind of rely on. They don't always have a license.
Right.
So things are a little. But anyways, this YouTuber I like talked about Lady Macbeth. And I was like, I've never heard of it. So I figured I'll give it a shot. And boy, oh boy, was I surprised. Tell you, lives up
What?
to its title.
Wait, so you've been cutting in and out a little bit for me.
I'm sorry. It's
So
just that like I have my computer a little far away because I'm standing over the sink.
all right. So is Lady Macbeth a new TV show or?
No. It's a movie.
Okay.
It's a movie. It's a movie from I think 2014 or something like that. 2016.
Okay.
It stars Florence Pugh, and yeah, it's about this. It takes place in 17th century. This woman gets married off to a dude that's obviously a piece of shit, and then he goes off. He's like, "I'm gonna go." Leaves for like a while, and she starts having a fling with the groundskeeper. Um, well, I mean, this is a spoiler-free place or whatever. Anyways, so eventually, when the husband comes back, um, he's like, "I know that you've been having an affair," and she's like, "Yeah, I don't give a shit." And then her and the groundskeeper kill the husband.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it just goes from there, and she's just like, "Look, we gotta hide the body, and we'll be all right, and nobody worries." But anyways, it just kind of leads into like one killing just leads to another, and then someone's like, "Oh, this person found out that we did this thing."
So much like the plot of Macbeth.
So very much like
Yeah.
so her the character's name in the movie is not Lady Macbeth, but it is she is very much doing Lady Macbeth. Like it is
Macbeth
basically
thing.
the character, yeah, and
Right.
it's very cool. Yeah, so I recommend. It's a bit of a quiet film for the most part, but yeah, no, I did not know I was walking into that.
Cool.
Joe, did you watch Broe Deschanel's cannibalism video on Nebula?
Yeah, I just finished it I just finished it earlier today.
Thoughts?
Um, I mean, not many, unfortunately. Like, I don't think it was as enticing as her other stuff. But it's
Yeah.
very good. It's very good. I mean, honestly, like, I don't think I really have that many disagreements. But I'm also like not super familiar with the cannibalism film. Like, I don't think that I could name that many cannibalism movies. So, for the most part, I was just kind of
Especially ones that aren't horror.
right, exactly.
So,
for the most part, I just found myself
Alina,
like, oh,
this YouTuber that Joe and I both like, Broe Deschanel on Nebula, she has been doing an extra series that is about taboos in movies, and she's doing it as a Nebula exclusive because it's all stuff that will get demonetized on YouTube.
Oh, smart.
So she did a video about like pedophilia in movies. She did a video about like
sexy thrillers.
Sexy thrillers. The one she did right before cannibalism was about that movie
John Waters.
that
Pink Flamingos.
Yeah, she did John Waters. I was actually thinking the one she did before that. I realized that I forgot the John Waters one came after. She did one about the Netflix movie about the little girl dance troupe in France.
Cuties.
Cuties that
gotcha.
people got upset about because the girls were too young to be acting that sexy.
Yeah.
Not realizing that that's the point of the movie is
that is creepy. Shouldn't be doing
that Western society kind of pushes girls to do that, especially Black girls that the movie is about. So
Yeah,
Yes. No.
I think that like my big throw with like the cannibalism one is that like I think that there was something in her phrasing of just like, oh, cannibalism is the biggest taboo, and it's like I don't think that's true. I think it's a bit of a taboo, but I don't think it's as taboo as some of the stuff that you covered.
Yeah, I
So
feel like people get more up in arms about underage sexuality than they do about cannibalism.
Mm-hmm.
right. She also has a podcast, and the podcast. So
I haven't listened to her podcast at all. Have you?
yeah, I have. It's honestly, it's a bit of a hit or miss because it's a little bit more loose. A lot of the times, her and her co-host just find themselves kind of just riffing off a little bit and just like kind of going on tangents, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the times it kind of seems like their opinions are they're not. It's not that they're bad, but it's just like it kind of seems like there's something. There's still something half baked there that you haven't fully thought out. But it's also like, well, the reason why her videos are so good is because they are very well written and they are very well researched. Whereas in the podcast, because it's a little bit more loose, it just kind of seems like again, like it's a bit of a hit.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not doing anything else, it is a fun listen, and they're both funny.
Her podcast is about internet drama that people forgot about. So I feel like part of me would really like the podcast, but also part of me might be like, I know all this already.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
I
It's
was
like,
there when we canceled Being Dad.
well, that's the
Do
thing.
not
Of
quote
like
the
maybe
laws to me. I was there when they were first put down.
maybe
Yeah.
that's what I enjoy about the podcast so much is that it's like it's not just a retelling of what happened, but it's also more of like a, in retrospective, what do we think of this issue?
Right.
So it kind of seems a little model after do you remember a podcast called Revisionist History?
No, I don't think
remember
I ever
hearing
listened
about
to
it,
that one.
but I don't think I
Okay,
listened
I
to
mean
it.
it's I mean I'm a fan. I like it, but I mean like with everything Michael Gladwell, you kind of have to take with like a bit of a grain of salt. It's like correlation is not causation, Mike.
Yeah.
But again, he makes observations, and that's really all I say. Observations. Anyways, rehash is a little bit like that, where it's like it's not just retelling of an internet situation. It's more of like, well, now in years later, what do we make of this? Like, were we right at the time? Were we wrong at the time? Have we learned anything? How's it? So I think that that's why I appreciate it a little more. If it were just like the retelling of something, I don't care that much.
I mean, I feel like when I want to hear about internet history, I want a deep dive. Like I really like Down the Rabbit Hole. Those videos are hours and hours long for a reason because he is like uncovering all sorts of nonsense on the topic.
Yeah, I don't think rehash is that. So
No.
maybe it won't.
Um, um, the funniest experience of sharing a Down the Rabbit Hole video is Molly and I were talking about the Final Fantasy VII remake remaster when it was first coming out, and how a lot of teenagers lost their goddamn mind about Sephiroth. And
Sephiroth was the sexy Tumblr man of a generation.
Is he the blonde guy?
He's got the long white hair.
Oh, that
so
one. Okay.
Cloud is the spiky blonde hair.
Yeah, with the big sword.
And so we're talking about how it's extra funny that people lost their mind over Sephiroth because the graphics of the original Final Fantasy VII were like little cube people.
Yes.
So like it's not like Tumblr losing their mind over Astarion now, because Astarion is detailed enough that you can see his perfectly coiffed hair and you can see like him looking sad and
There was
all
that
that
game art
stuff.
though, because in the book there was like sexy art of Sephiroth, and that was usually what got drawn.
But so we're talking about the internet losing their goddamn mind about him. And we're having this conversation while Molly is driving me home, and then right as I'm getting out of the car, I turn to Molly and say, Molly, do you know about Final Fantasy House?
Oh?
Speaking of people who lost their goddamn mind about Sephiroth.
I don't know about Final Fantasy House.
Molly said no, and then I linked Molly to the Down the Rabbit Hole about Final Fantasy House.
Oh my god.
Final Fantasy House was a bunch of roommates who thought they were all the reincarnation of Final Fantasy characters, and that they were going to reenact different parts of Final Fantasy, or they felt themselves compelled. And it kind of became a mini cult.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure they killed someone.
Wait, this rings a bell.
Yep, that's.
I've already seen this.
I read a book similar to this about people who were so obsessed with Lord of the Rings that they believed that they were the reincarnated versions of the hobbits. And they went across America.
But did they murder anyone?
Scams. I don't think they murdered anyone. I do think they did a crime, though, and I don't remember what the crime was.
Eat mushrooms, maybe?
No, it was like some sort of fraud, some sort of.
All right.
Something
well,
like that.
I'm going to link you both to the Down the Rabbit Hole Final Fantasy House episode.
This sounds
and
weirdly
40
familiar.
minutes long, so it's one of the shorter Down the Rabbit Holes.
Only 40 minutes.
And yeah, well, he also did one about the something wars, the EVE Online wars, and that was like 6 hours long.
Oh, EVE Online. Got some good shapes on this Bulbasaur now. Flower inspiration, though.
But right now there's actually a webcomic that's sort of loosely based off Final Fantasy House.
Oh yeah?
It's supposed to be about one of the main character of the webcomic has recently gotten out of prison after being involved in a situation that is like the Final Fantasy House.
Wow.
And like, because of that, they basically can't use the internet because inevitably people will figure out who they are and are like, why aren't you still in jail? And also they have trouble making friends because the last time they made friends, they ended up in a kind of cult that resulted in a murder. So
that would make you a little shy about friendship.
And then they on top of all this, they frequently have like quote unquote true crime investigators trying to get a hold of them to use them for like clickbait. And the art's pretty rough, but like it's real brutal read.
I'll be right back.
All right.
All right. I'm happy with the shapes on this Bulbasaur. I actually start thinking now.
Good Bulbasaur.
I love a Bulbasaur. I left this one to last out of all the starters because, like, Bulbasaur's the best, and I want it to be the best. Like, no one ever was.
The rest of those lyrics just left my head as soon as you started them, and I was trying to think of them to continue.
I've just got the part about to train them as my cause.
Yeah.
I could at any moment, though, do the Samurai Pizza Cats fan club oath. That's just permanently stuck into my brain.
I've been listening to the podcast Behind the Bastards. I learned that Steve Jobs was very smelly.
Oh, really?
Yes. He thought he did not need to bathe because he only ate fruit.
Mm.
So that meant that his body was perfect in its nutrition and had no waste, and therefore he did not have any smells.
Yo, that is incorrect.
And everyone told him he smelled, and he's like, "No, I don't. You're wrong. You are incorrect." So it was bad enough that multiple people told
Like,
their
yo.
boss, "You smell bad." Like, also, he was a piece of shit dad.
Oh, I heard that. And it does not surprise me at all.
Yeah. See, I like didn't know like anything about Steve Jobs before listening to this. Like, I kind of assumed he was a piece of shit because what tech bro isn't?
Exactly. He was a tech bro. You can just stop there.
Yeah. And the one thing that Behind the Bastards gives him credit for, and they're like, this is the thing that tech bros today keep fundamentally misunderstanding, is Steve Jobs did actually care about the aesthetics of things, and a lot of designing and redesigning the iPhone was him being like, does this feel good in your hand?
Which
and
honestly was one of the reasons why it was so successful.
Yeah, so that's
had been put out by other companies, but they just weren't user friendly in that, like, this feels good in my hand way.
Yeah. And also a lot of other ones, he was the first one who was like, no, we need to have touch rather than having there be a stylus.
Yeah.
Because people will lose a stylus, but if they can just use their finger, then that makes it infinitely easier. So it's like, even though he's a piece of shit like all other tech bros, he at least had some vague idea on what normal humans wanted.
Yeah.
And because
really
modern tech bros don't care about aesthetics, that's why they keep trying to push shit like NFTs or AI art.
Or the frickin' glasses. The, like, hey, do you want to wear these really uncomfortable glasses on your face for many hours at a time? No, I don't, actually. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it'll give you AR vision. It's like, I don't care. I don't want this thing on my face.
Yeah, so it's kind of like they don't understand aesthetics and also like how things feel to people.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope you enjoy that Final Fantasy House video later.
All
You're
its
in
madness.
for a ride.
Oh boy.
I love that Down the Rabbit Hole's very sporadic, but when it does, it like drops a very detailed, ridiculous video.
I mean, that's why it's sporadic. It's like, listen, it's gonna take me months to research this, but it will be
Yeah.
researched to within an inch of its life by the time it's out.
Like, I liked the wine poisoning video.
Oh yeah, that they were adding
Antifreeze.
antifreeze to the wine. That was fascinating. I didn't see it on that show, but I saw someone else doing a deep dive on it, and I was like,
Yeah.
capitalism, man, but also fascinating.
I also
Put just a
like
little antifreeze in the wine to cut it to make it sweeter.
yeah. I also liked Izzy. She just does like the rise and fall of different weird online communities.
Mm-hmm.
Her newest one is about the Willy Wonka experience. I haven't watched that one yet.
Good. The scammy AI one.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
She did one that was about the rise and fall of DeviantArt.
Oh, amazing.
There was also one video where she talked about the whole website's programming was run through a Discord, so you know it's going to be a shit show. And I was like, yeah, that has been my experience with every project that is run through a Discord.
Mm-hmm. Discord is good for, low stakes stuff.
It's for hanging out.
A project,
It is good for when are we meeting for lunch. Anything more complicated than that, you need to
or just
move
posting
it
memes to your friends. It's just a repository for
yeah.
some memes.
This as far as planning things, you can't plan anything more complicated than where are we going for lunch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, I'm happy with this little feral, happy Bulbasaur so far. He looks a little like a bear currently, which is kind of the vibe I was going for.
Good. Oh, also in Behind the Bastards, they recently did a series about Robert E. Lee.
I think I was listening to that one.
Yeah. And how he's not even a good general.
He's really bad at everything.
Yeah. Maybe it's good that he sided with the South because he's a really bad general.
I have been doing a bunch of research into the various protests by the AIM movement across the United States, and they are fascinating. I like the it started off with Alcatraz, where they went and they occupied Alcatraz, the American Indian movement, and they're like, listen,
Mhm.
there's a law that says that state-owned land that hasn't been used can be returned to natives. And so
Mhm.
Alcatraz is a state-owned land that is not being used currently, so it's ours. We're going to go and move in to make a statement, to make a political statement, and we're going to make it really clear that's what we're doing. And
Hooray!
yeah, and they did. They went and they lived there for several months until the CIA came in and shut them down, as inevitably happens when the government's like, they do have a point, but we can't let them actually have the land back, so we will just sabotage them and then arrest
I
them.
thought Alcatraz was a tourist attraction.
Originally, it was a
No, I know that it used to be a prison. I thought it was a tourist attraction now.
it is now. It is
but-
because they declared it a state historical thing, I think. Some of the clauses there, because then it wasn't a unused piece of federal land. It was being used as a
tourist attraction.
Tourist attraction. So they're like, haha, now the land can't belong to you. Screw you, natives.
And some good native news. Didn't they recently give a bunch of land to a trust? I remember reading something about that like a week ago. California gives land back. Blah.
Cool. I know the Chumash and a couple other tribes in California have been doing amazing work on water restoration and have reclaimed some land from California to continue, like, to be water protectors and
that might be what it was.
Developers of the watershed, because they basically have done like a bunch of salmon habitat restoration.
Okay, yeah. Berkeley restores. I'm going to say this incorrectly, but it's Ohlone. Is that Olona or Olone land?
Oh, I'm not sure.
To Ohlone hands in largest give back in California history.
Amazing. Yeah, it was not the Chumash, it was somebody else who basically like got a bunch of their own money, their own band money together, and bought like bulldozers because they were trying to restore salmon habitat. But then University of Berkeley was like, hey, and so they basically like got a bunch of the silt and stuff out of the riverbed so the salmon could spawn there, but then also cleared out a bunch of old dead, like, just standing trees. And it turns out that the combination of the healthier waterway and the reduction of the dead trees standing around means that in the fire season, their land doesn't burn the same way the rest of all of California does. So Berkeley was like, can we send some like land management people in to come and do surveys of your land, because like we want to recreate this elsewhere? And they're like, yes, let's do a partnership. So they're now doing research on like traditional land stewardship, which is exactly what they should be doing. It's like the people who lived in California for generations know how to not have it be on fire all the time.
But yeah, so I just linked that article that is a couple of weeks ago.
Cool.
And that's just the first article that popped up. More articles are popping up. And apparently, a park and cultural center is going to be built on the land.
Cool.
Oh, we watched the Thanksgiving episode of Buffy last Monday
Okay.
or yesterday.
I was about to say, wasn't that yesterday?
Yeah, that was yesterday. And they were people were surprised that a real tribe was used and mentioned because it is the Chumash tribe. And then it's all the English people have the bad opinions.
Yeah. Correct.
So what happens in the episode?
A mass grave that missionaries had for native people that they killed is uncovered and releases a vengeance demon and is killing leaders in Sunnydale because vengeance. And meanwhile, they're planning Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, okay. I think I vaguely.
People like it because Spike gets shot with a lot of arrows while tied up.
Yep.
And yeah, most of the times when people say they like it, it's usually Spike being tied up and abused that they like. And I don't really see anyone talk about anything else in the episode.
Nope.
In a positive light. Yeah, because
like,
it's not a good episode.
Let's not talk about anything else, but it was hot that they tied up the vampire man.
But Iris and Nero appreciate that Anya is just hanging out. Still.
She's there.
And she just is there to fuck Xander.
No other reason. She's just around.
Yeah, to fuck Xander. That's it. She did call Thanksgiving a ritual sacrifice, and she's not wrong.
No.
I feel like because the lady who plays Anya is so good at comedy, she ends up just being the butt of the joke, and they really miss opportunities to have her have more astute observations on human life, like calling Thanksgiving a ritualistic sacrifice. they kind of get stuck on the, oh, she's a goofy goof.
She's so goofy. She can do them goofs good. So let's write her some goof lines.
Yeah.
It's another one of those storylines that I always find funny, but in a depressing way, where it's like, oh no, the white writers want to tackle Native issues, and they're like, you know what Native people would probably do if they had they would want vengeance. We're scared that Native people would get vengeance on us for all the bad shit we've done to them because we feel vaguely guilty about the shit that we know we've done, but we're not going to talk about. So we're just gonna. This is how we're going to address it.
Yep. But then Buffy still kills the vengeance demon.
Yeah. That was a very big theme in the like.
Yeah.
80s and 90s. It's starting to change very, very slowly, largely because some brown people are in writers' rooms now and are like, don't do that, actually. Even if they're not Native, they're just like, yeah, but don't. No.
Yeah, the comment when the Native vengeance spirit was talking was, well, at least they didn't give him a racist accent.
Yep. At least there's that.
And apparently the guy who plays the Native vengeance demon, his IMDb page is all thirst photos.
Oh my God. Who plays it? What's the Adam Beach, was it?
I'm looking it up now.
Native in Hollywood in those days.
Let's see. It was Todd Valley.
I don't know. I know that guy.
He's probably not
Native.
Native.
Only one or two Native people in Hollywood in those days. See, Native.
You might not be Native. But his IMDb photo is like, I'm the sexiest motherfucker on the planet.
Good.
I'm like not finding any information on him.
Yeah. It's like even money. This dude was not Native.
He also apparently plays the Native guy in Mortal Kombat.
No, he can't be Native. Oh my God, he's in more than one thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm liking that. Let's stay with that.
I found a very tiny article about him appearing on Roswell, and they're getting praise for actually casting a native guy. So
maybe he was the like one native in the Hollywood. Fascinating.
That would line up because I think Roswell and Buffy had like casting directors that were friends. So
Yeah,
like
that makes sense.
Roswell's like, we got a native guy, and Buffy's like, oh well, we need a native guy.
God. Okay, Roswell. Roswell, I never watched in its original run, but when I lived in Fiji for a little while, they had it there, and it was on like its. I don't know if it was its first airing or what, but it was on literally every night in like the primetime slot. And so I would get home from work, and I'd be like cooking supper and unwinding, and I would watch Roswell. And for some reason, it helped with my homesickness. Like I was just like, oh, okay, Roswell, yeah.
That first show was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the new show?
I saw the first season. Didn't really land.
Yeah.
I think I mean
feel
like
it had potential, it just didn't quite connect. I feel like the cast chemistry wasn't quite working.
Well, that and also like here's one thing that I'll throw in. Like I mean, I'm not even sure if this is a well thought out comment. I'm just like it's a. I think also what really made it work is just that it's the fact that it was teenagers.
Yes.
Because the new one it's adults, and I'm just kind of going like, aren't you too old for this kind of drama? Like it seems like you, like it sounds like you have bigger issues to worry about rather than this. But like it's a. But yeah, I mean, like there was something, and I mean, maybe I'm just thinking about it through my rose-tinted lenses, but something about like the teenage aspect of dealing with, like there were elements about the show that were not just the sci-fi stuff, but there were also very coming of age stuff, or like a lot of self-discovery in it. That I mean, it's not that those things can happen in adulthood,
but it hits different.
It hits different, and the way that the new show did it, it just kind of
yeah. So because one thing in particular is when they make out and they see flashes of their makeout partner's life.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was very interesting, using it as like a metaphor for emotional intimacy versus physical intimacy.
Yeah.
Because I do remember that one plot point was that like the B romantic pairing got jealous because a romantic pairing was getting these flashes into each other's lives, but they weren't when they made out. So like I
so like I thought romantic enough. How do we be better at romance?
So yeah, so it was like, are we not connecting as much? Like, is this just physical? I thought that was very interesting. And yeah, I feel like the chemistry wasn't quite clicking in the new show. But I think like them using actual immigration stuff, like I feel like that was a good starting point if they're gonna reboot it, but they just didn't quite nail the landing. So
yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, because again, like it's there's nothing wrong with like with AIM. It's just it's just like I'm not sure if this is the word that I would go for. It is just one other thing about it. Like it just comes across very soapy.
Yeah.
And soapy in a way that, again, as a teenage drama, I get it, but as an adult drama.
Well, it's also to go with the like intimacy, physical intimacy versus emotional intimacy. That's using the sci-fi aspect to reinforce the thing that they're talking about. And while there is the real life immigration stuff and there is the alien stuff, they never quite click the same way. So like I think I wouldn't have minded it being soapy if they did a better job of connecting the supernatural plot to the thing that it's actually a metaphor for. Because it felt like, well, the theme is there. It was never really connecting to the alien stuff.
Right.
The way it could have / should have. And whereas with the teens, like it's a little bit easier to with the teens to have that metaphor land because those metaphors are so broad. Yeah, they never really quite click the two together in the new show.
Right. But yeah, I mean, also, the ending to the first show was so good. That ending was amazing. I really loved it because I'm a sap. But
I read the books that the show Roswell was based off of for a little while.
didn't you
And
know
they got real weird. They're based off a series called Roswell High. Like I understand why they decided to not follow the books after a certain point because it
Got weird.
Yeah, so like the alien planet that they're from, like connected mentally with main guy Max. And because they don't have human bodies, like the main aliens got human bodies so they could hide on Earth. So the homeworld connection keeps being like, we want you to experience things because we can't experience them. And so they keep like having him lick rocks. And like do shit that's super weird. That's like I understand why they don't want their heartthrob actor to be doing this. Like
amazing.
And so around the same time, like a new alien gets like introduced into the group, and there's a love triangle between the new alien, Liz, and Max, because Liz is understandably frustrated that Homeworld keeps hijacking Max's brain and making him lick rocks or do other weird shit. Meanwhile, new alien guy is more like Max before his brain got hijacked.
And he started licking rocks. Oh my god. I think Tumblr would be into a boyfriend who licks rocks.
Yes, I mean, Tumblr's reaction to Laos and Delicious in Dungeon, like, makes me think that they would be all for Max licking rocks.
Absolutely.
It was ahead of its time.
Yeah,
It really, really was.
Sometimes I do like to read the books that TV shows are based off just because they get so fucking weird and the show cannot possibly follow through. Like, did you know in Dexter that he's possessed by a demon in the books?
I
No.
remember that. I think I remember.
His dark passenger is not a metaphor in the books. His dark passenger is a literal demon.
Oh no. That's very funny. I don't know why that's so funny. It's so dumb.
But the thing is, it's not that much dumber than where the actual show
No,
went.
it's true. It's true. Which is him just like being a weird lumberjack in the woods forever.
Yeah.
Oh god, I love that he was an actual demon.
Yeah, because one of the plot points is
That's very
so
funny.
there's a part where he loses his demon. And then it turns out that the demon jumped into one of his girlfriend's kids. So now he must train said girlfriend's kid to
Be a serial killer.
Be the serial killer.
This is just an anime. It's just an anime.
Yeah, basically. And then True Blood, as wild as True Blood
Oh, yeah.
is,
I love True
the
Blood.
books are so
They
much
really
weirder.
are.
In some ways, I appreciate the weirdness of the books.
And in some ways, it's the standard sort of oversexed urban fantasy tropes.
Yeah. So you know how Sookie can read minds?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because she's part fairy.
Yeah.
Well, she has a brother.
Mm-hmm.
He's also part fairy.
Yes, as we recall from the TV show.
Yeah, like as genetics would say that he's also part fairy.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how he fucks everything that moves in the show?
Absolutely.
In the books, canonically, he is apparently does have a fairy power he doesn't know about, and that he is just exuding fuck me vibes psychically to everyone.
Amazing.
So he's unaware that he's doing it, but that is why he gets laid so much in the books, like canonically. Like he's
in the show at one point. There was, I think it was after the meth were-leopards.
Yeah.
Which, is quite a phrase. And it was a very silly, ridiculous, weird plot. They're the redneck, meth-brewing were-leopards.
They're also inbred. That's important too.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's important. That was plot relevant.
That's why they kidnapped Jason, because they needed new genes.
His smelled real good.
But no, so the show never makes it official. Like they never come out and say,
he's a
Jason
fairy.
Jason has fuck me powers. They just like they acknowledge like that Jason is got fairy in him, but come up with a hand-wavy excuse of like, well, the genes are probably dormant or something like that.
Yeah.
So maybe down the line his descendants will have mind-reading powers, but Jason has nothing.
It's all about Suke.
Yeah, whereas in the show he has, whereas in the books he has fuck me powers.
What show?
Also,
this
is True Blood.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. I love it.
Yeah. This is funny because it's like True Blood is already dumb, and the fact that the books got even wilder is like,
amazing.
And so the meth inbred werepanthers do kidnap Jason in the books as well.
Good.
And they turn him into a werepanther. And you find out that hybrid werewolves are what happen when someone is bit by a were. But if you're born a were, you turn into like a full wolf or a full panther or whatever.
Right.
So Jason,
sexy cat man.
Yeah, now he's a cat man that has fucking powers.
Amazing. And he gets to be all angsty about his werewolfness now, or
werepantherness. Yeah, he's stuck with the inbred meth werepanthers.
I too would be angry about that. What a wild ride, that show.
Yep.
It was so dumb. I love it.
Never saw it.
It was not good. I can't recommend it, but it is.
No, it does have one really good point. And that is, it is the only vampire show with the courage to give the vampire a hard time for owning slaves.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah. because Bill talks about Vampire Bill talks about when he was alive, and Tara, Suki's black friend, is like, "Did you own slaves?" And then he tries to weasel out of answering, and she goes, "That's a yes or no question.
Yeah.
Did you own slaves?"
The fact that you have not answered tells me everything I need to know.
I treated them well.
Also, they had a Lafayette, who in the books died like almost instantly, and then in the show was the best character on television.
Yes.
And they just kept him around for all of the seasons because he was the best character on that or any show.
Yes. Also, they made Eric a lot more sympathetic in the show. Then Bill is also more sympathetic in the show. Bill is such a dick in the books. In the books, it is really highlights that Sookie is kind of just dating Bill because he's the first dude whose mind she can't read.
Yes, yeah. She's like, "You're a mystery." I love that.
Like he ignores her a lot. And part of the way that like they build the love triangle between Sookie, Eric, and Bill is like in the books is Sookie rants about like Bill ignoring her and no one helping her and like her house is falling apart and she has to do all this shit, and like Eric's the only one who's like, "Oh, well, I have money and can fix some of these problems."
Yeah, go away.
And he's not doing it in even a romantic way. He's like, "Well, you did me a favor, so here's the money to repave your driveway."
Yeah. And she's like, "That's very sexy. I like that. Please
she's like, "That's more than my boyfriend did, who also has money." Because in the books, it turns out Vampire Bill is related to the sheriff guy.
Oh my god.
And so he is actually giving them more financial support than he is giving Sookie. Like, which is partly why she's annoyed.
Yeah.
She's like, "I'm not saying don't reconnect with your family, but
like, buddy, help me out here."
Yeah.
Why am I dating an old vampire if I am not getting any gains from it?
And then the author apparently got a lot of angry hate mail when she ended the series, and Sookie did not end up with either vampire.
Yeah.
Sookie ended up with she ended up with Sam, her boss.
Oh, the like golden retriever who's literally a golden
He turns into a collie. Collie, but yes.
He's just a good boy.
The dog man.
Which maybe is the author's point, is like, listen.
Dogman better.
Unemotionally unavailable, awful man. Or a good dog boy.
Yeah. But apparently that's not the answer readers wanted.
Well, too bad.
That's what you got.
And I remember talking to people I know who have read more romance things.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Oh, I understand why people were upset, because if you're doing what's basically the American version of a reverse harem, because she has like not just the two vampire guys, but 9 million other love interests.
Yeah.
Whoever the main character meets first is usually who they're going to end up with in the end.
Yeah. And if you flipped it on their head, people are like, "What the hell? Not what I
Yeah.
signed up for." Whatever
Yeah,
you
so
think
it's
happened first is the one that I'm cheering for.
um in romance stories where there's 90 bazillion different possible love interests, the audience kind of expects the main character to hook up with whoever they meet first.
I don't think I like that.
And like after they pointed that out, I thought about all the reverse harem animes that I have seen,
Yep.
and I was like, yeah, they
That's kind of
do
true.
always end up with whoever they meet first.
Yep.
Like in Fruit Basket, she ends up with Kyo. And in and in that Kiss Him Not Me, she ends up with the first boy.
Yeah.
From a storytelling perspective, I get it. I don't.
Yeah,
I
it's
have a
like
problem.
all of the other characters are there just to keep them apart or to
Mhm.
make you
Well,
think that they
it's
might not get together, and then the payoff is that they do actually get together in the end.
so the reason why I say from a storytelling perspective is because it's a lot of most people like it when stories have a result, like have a resolution, and
Yeah.
there's no better resolution than things coming full circle. Or if you were really want to whittle it down to to just one sentence, like, oh, it was there all along thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's something that is very common in stories of just like, oh, like, it turns out that true happiness was right at home. You didn't really have to go on that journey, but it's the fact that you went on that journey and came back home that like now this is where you belong, kind of thing.
yeah.
Um,
That makes sense.
so in romance, it seems that like that same chain or that same approach applies, where it's just like, yeah, you meet this one person, you have your meet cute, and then you go off on this journey of other romances, and you learn about other romance. But really, you're gonna end up where you first started. Only now that
Mhm.
you fully grown is for your rightful place, kind of thing. I don't
Yeah.
like it. I hate it, to be honest. It kind of drives me crazy because I think that it kind of sets a very negative precedent for how we can reflect on how we also socialize with people outside of stories.
Hmm.
Um, and obviously, I have a little bit more to say about that, but I'll be clear. But yeah, no, it makes sense, and like I understand why it's a trope. I just personally I don't like it. I hate it. I wish that it would be done less. Uh, so yeah, right now.
Yeah. But thinking about it, Elena, Sookie talks to Sam in True Blood before she talks to Bill.
That's true because he's the boss.
Yeah.
She's there. She's working for him. He's around all the time.
Yeah, so she's ignoring the cute dog man.
I mean, in our sort of theory of like, okay, well, the vampires are the 1% and the werewolves are the proletariat. He's a werewolf, but he's also like the guy next door, which is why he's invisible
Yes.
to her at first. So she has to go and date all of the bad guys first to then realize that what she had, the boy next door was actually what she wanted.
Yes.
And that's sort of the progression they're going with that story.
Also, Vampire Bill is very boring.
He's
The
so
funniest thing
boring.
about him is that his name is Bill.
Yes, he has no personality other than like, suke. That's his personality. I've summed
Yeah.
it up.
Yep. You are correct. That is his personality. All right, I have scheduled.
I am tired. I think I'm gonna wrap this up.
Yeah.
Rackety rack.
Thank you folks for coming to the stream. We gonna be here next week? Is everyone here next week?
I'm not sure.
Sure. Yeah.
It is-
I'll circle back. I'll circle back.
Okay.
Yeah. Next week is the day before I fly out to Oklahoma for Oklahoma Indigenous Comic Con, which is where we'll have these Woodland Cree style Pokemon prints.
Cool.
So if you are there, come check them out.
Well, I'll probably be here next week. Have a good one, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye. Alina, you need to look at this picture that this